A Python list is a collection of 0 or more values. Python lists are conceptually very similar to lists in the data structures course. Here's an example. This list contains 4 elements 10, 5, 17, and 3. Lists are expressions, thus we can assign a list to a variable. List elements are also expressions. Here are some examples of valid lists. When evaluating a function call, Python first evaluates the call arguments. Similarly, when evaluating a list, Python first evaluates the list elements. An empty list is just an opening bracket and a closing bracket. Let's see some list operations. We can access elements in a list by index or location starting at 0. To retrieve a list element, write the list and append square brackets with the index inside. Here are some examples. Using x as an example, x0 is 10, x1 is 5, and x2 is 17. And the element at index 0 of the list A, B, C is A. The square brackets are called the getItem operator. GetItem operations are expressions, thus we can use them as operands in larger expressions. For example, x1 plus 3. Since x1 is 5, x1 plus 3 is 8. We can also use the getItem operation as arguments in function calls, or assign them to variables. The index must be an integer, so the following is invalid. The index is also an expression. Thus, the following are valid getItem operations. What happens if we reverse the assignment as follows? This is still an assignment statement, but instead of storing the 4th element of x in number, Python evaluates number and stores the result in the 4th element of x. This makes sense, but it's strange because until now the target was always a variable. Python first searches the variables map for x, then updates one element in this list. For example, consider the following 2-line program. In the first line, Python assigns the list 10, 5, 17, 3 to variable x, and then in the second line, Python assigns 12 to x3. After the 2 statements are executed, x is the list 10, 5, 17, 12. The length of a list is a count of the elements in that list. For example, list x has the length of 4. We can get the length by calling the built-in len function with the list as the argument. For example, len of x is 4, and len of the list 1, 2, 3 is 3. We can append items to the end of the list. Here's an example. After Python executes these statements, x becomes the list 10, 5, 17, 12, and 21. x.append21 is a method call. A method call consists of the expression, the dot, the method name, and the method argument surrounded by parentheses. In this example, the expression in front of dot is the list we want to append to. The method argument is the value that we want to append. Here is another example program. In line 1, a list is assigned to variable tokens. In line 2, the word pickle is assigned to new token. In line 3, we call tokens.append with a new token. After the 3 lines are executed, tokens is the list Bob, 5, Julie, pickle. Method calls are very similar to function calls. For comparison, here's a hypothetical function call version of the append method. All we had to do was move tokens inside the parentheses. Then is a method call just a rearranged function call? We will explore this question in great detail when we learn about Python classes. We can remove elements from a list using a pop method. Here's an example. First, Python assigns the list 10, 5, 17, 12, and 9 to variable x. In line 2, we pop at index 0. Then x becomes the list 5, 17, 12, and 9. The pop operation removes an element at a specified index, 0 in this example. The pop operation is an expression that returns the popped value. Thus, we can assign the operation to a variable as follows. Here we pop x at index 2. Then, variable a is 12, and x is 5, 17, and 9. We can also use the popped element as an operand in a larger operation. For example, suppose we pop x at index 0 and add 3 to it. Since the element at index 0 is 5, x.pop0 is 5, and we add 3, so the result is 8, and x is the list 17 and 9. Like the append operation, the pop operation is also a method call. Let's try some list operations on the simulator. First, I'm going to assign the list to variable x, and I'm going to append 8 to x, and I will pop the list element at index 1 and assign it to y. And finally, I'm going to find the length of x and assign it to L. After I append 8 to x, x becomes 2, 4, 6, 8. Then I pop the element at index 1, which is 4. So after x is popped, it becomes 2, 6, 8, and y is 4. Finally, the length of x is 3.